Good morning, dear students. So we were learning module 4 about GPS surveying methods. Last class we learned different methods in the under the classification of static and kinematic. Okay, so today we will see two more methods are left in kinematic methods. We will learn that, and we will also learn the next technique, that is DGPS, and we will also see what are the phases of GPS survey. Okay, so in the last class we studied four methods, that is first one stop and go, second traditional kinematic, third true kinematic, and fourth pseudo kinematic. Today we will learn about the fifth method, that is kinematic on the fly, shortly written as KOTF. This method has a peculiarity because this can be implemented only in the receivers which are having dual frequency. We learned about L1 and L2 carrier waves. They too are having different frequencies, right? So if we are implementing two different frequency waves, such receivers, if we are using, that method is called kinematic on the fly. This is having special characteristics like even in the moving mode, this does not require a static initialization. I hope you remember what is this static initialization. Whenever we are starting the surveying, we have to remove all the ambiguities and we have to set up the signal lock between the satellite and the receiver. That is the meaning of initialization. So even if these are in movement, this does not have this problem of in each stop it do not need to do this static initialization. Okay, why? Because it is using dual frequency receivers. Okay, so even while in moving, the rover is continuously tracking a minimum of 5 satellites on the L1 and L2 for a period of time. Thus the ambiguities will be resolved. Okay, so this depicts a figure of KOTF survey method. Here the receiver is kept in a car, it is continuously in movement and they are taking reading. Next method, that is last method, is real-time kinematic, shortly written as RTK. Okay, please note the word real-time. Okay, so you can guess that, make a guess that we are going to get the readings on the field itself. Okay, here the base station actually transmits correction to the rover using radio link. What is base station? Base station is the point where the receiver is kept at a non-point, or that receiver is held stationary. Okay, it is not in movement. This base station will help you to calculate whatever error is happening, and that correction will be transmitted to the rover using this radio link. Okay, so that in this method you will get the results at that point of time itself. That means you will get the results at instantaneously you will get. So after work, like post processing methods can be avoided in this type of surveying method. Okay, so this figure depicts what is happening in real time kinematic. Like some satellites are there, radio links are there, whatever errors are happening, and they are collecting it and they are sending the corrections using this radio link. Okay, the base station is collecting that and it is transmitting to the rover stations. Okay, just get an idea. Okay, next technique. So we completed all the different methods of GPS surveying methods. Like static we learned few, and in kinematic also we learned few. Okay, so next technique is differential GPS. Okay, differential global positioning system, shortly written as DGPS. Okay, this is just, I told you before in the first class, I told you we will learn about DGPS. This is just an enhancement to our conventional system, that is our global positioning system. Okay, just an enhancement so that you can make a guess that of course it will be having improved accuracy. It can locate our position more accurately than this GPS. Okay, if accuracy can be measured for conventional method, if it is 15 meter, this can count up to 10 centimeter. Okay, so in DGPS it has a combination of receivers and satellites to reduce or eliminate common receiver based and satellites based errors and improve accuracy significantly. We learned about different types of errors in the last module. Multipath, ionospheric delays, topographic delays, like the different errors we learned. All these errors can be eliminated using a combination of different set of receivers and satellites. So this concept has been adopted by this DGPS. Okay, these services are privately owned and usually require a user subscription. Okay, like that, this is not public. Like if we want to get the usage of this DGPS, we have to take a certain subscription has to be taken, and then only we will get that ownership to use this DGPS. So let us see the working of DGPS. DGPS, otherwise called as differential GPS, it involves the operation of two receivers. As we saw earlier, there is two receivers. The one which is stationary is called as reference or base, and another is rover, which is moving around making position measurements. Since the reference station knows its exact location, it can determine the errors in the satellite signal. Okay, it knows the exact location, like we know the position where the base receiver is kept, we know that exact location, like x and y is known to you. Okay, so if the satellite is giving a different value, you can estimate what is the error, and that error can be used as a correction for different other receivers, right? Okay, I hope you are getting. So by measuring these ranges, okay, it does this by measuring the ranges to each satellite using the signals received and comparing these measured ranges to the actual ranges calculated from its known position. Okay, its position is already known, so you can just compare. This is the figure of DGPS surveying that instrument. So the same thing is depicted clearly here. The red point shows the point with known coordinates. So there only we will be keeping our base receiver, okay, or reference receiver. So reference receiver is placed at the known point. That point is the new point for which we need to calculate the position. Okay, so at that point we are going to keep our moving receiver, that is rover receiver. And we are doing the measurement using multiple ranges to different satellites, and you got the relative position error you can calculate, because that point is also known to you. This point we are already located, so you can compute the relative position. So the same thing is showing here with value. You can see in the reference site, true coordinates values are given x plus 0, y plus 0. Okay, so after getting from signal, you got the error as x plus 5 and y minus 3. Okay, x plus 5, y minus 3. So that is the error. So you can do the correction as, if error is x plus 5 and y minus 3, correction is x minus 5 and y plus 3. I hope you got it. Okay, so that so you got what is the correction to be done for different stations. Okay, so you can just see that receiver, that value you got is x plus 30 and y plus 60. So you can do the correction, that what is your correction, x minus 5 and y plus 3. Okay, so you can see the true coordinates are, you are deducting that value, or you are computing that value, that x plus 30 minus 5 should be done and y plus 60 plus 3 should be done. That correction you have applied, and the true coordinates are now x plus 25 and y plus 63. Okay, this is happening in the DGPS system. The error is calculated using reference receiver, and that error, if it is positive error, like we will be making in correction, we will be putting the opposite side. Okay, simple mathematics, and you will be applying to the other receivers. The same is shown here also. So in real-time DGPS, at reference station will be a point of non-coordinates or non-location. Then it will track all the satellites in view, then computes the correction for each satellite. Now after getting the correction, it will transmit these corrections via a communication link. And at the rover station, what is happening? This unit receives the corrections via the communication link, and the rover position is corrected by applying the received corrections. I hope it is clear. It is very simple and an interesting one also. I hope it is clear. Next is phases of GPS survey. Okay, what are the different steps involved in GPS survey? There are 4 different steps. First one, planning and preparation. Second, field operation. Third, post processing and data generation. And last, report preparation. Okay, so out of these 4 steps, today we will see only the first part, that is planning and preparation. So you know how important is planning for a civil engineer. Okay, our first step always is to plan something. Okay, so planning always will be beneficial for the project in terms of cost effectiveness, time, every factor if we are considering. Effective planning makes a good imprint. Okay, so we will see what are involved in this phase, that is planning and preparation. The GPS survey must be carefully planned for easy execution and good results. Since GPS surveying is different from conventional surveying, it requires different planning, execution and processing techniques. Of course, it is not same as our conventional method, so it has different strategy has to be taken in GPS surveying method. So before the start of the GPS survey, some points must be considered as listed below. Okay, these should be your like objectives. Okay, first one is accuracy. Accuracy must be considered in survey work. Second, hardware and software available for GPS survey. Which one you are going to use? Which software you are going to use? Okay, that should be you should have a clear idea about that. How many personnel requirement, means how many persons, how many manpower is required. Survey control, horizontal, vertical or both. This means what? Horizontal means how much calculation you can done, like how much distance can you measure from one point to another point. Horizontal measurement. Vertical measurement means what? How if you want to calculate the elevation or reduced level, how it can be done. That is vertical control, how it can be achieved. And how many survey controls required, etc. Like how many station points has to be marked, how accurate, it depends upon the accuracy, right? So these points have to be kept in your mind to take over the surveying method, GPS survey. Okay, so careful planning is therefore a critical issue and consists of the following elements. There are 6 different elements. First one is project design. Okay, what is project design? You are all familiar, nothing to explain much. We will see what it is. It involves a project layout and network design. A layout will be there and a network design will be there. This will be primarily driven by accuracy and station location or density requirements, like how accurate it should be. So it depending upon that, we have to locate the station, whether it should be, if you want better accuracy, you have to we have to keep these stations close to each other, right? If it is okay, accuracy is not that important, you can keep your points away. If small errors are happening, then also it is okay. Okay, so here it depends on the accuracy. And also if it is the client require, there will be certain requirements for the client also, that also we have to consider. And productivity or economic consideration, of course you have to consider what will be the cost of this project. Standards and specifications promoted by Geodetical Control Authority. Standards means what? Whenever you are proposing a project, there should be a certain rules which should be which should match with the guidelines provided. Okay, so that specifications and standards should be matched. Second is observation schedule. Okay, second one is observation schedule. A number of factors need to be considered, like how many number of GPS receivers will be there, occupation time per site, in per site how much time has to be spent, number of sites per day, in each day how many sites has to be covered, how many sites have to be surveying done, requirements for multiple station occupancy. Like that, different factors had to be considered to prepare this schedule. Okay, third one is instrumentation and personnel, two important things in surveying. Instrumentation means what? The whatever task, it will depend upon the instrumentation means what? Basically the equipments needed. Okay, so we need to collect these instruments depending upon the task required. Okay, and personnel means the trained persons are needed to carry out the survey and process the data, like we human beings. Okay, while in these 2 points, like instrumentation refers to the equipments or machinery and personnel refers to the human beings or manpower. Fourth factor is logistical consideration. Okay, logistical consideration means we are dealing with the issues such as transportation. Okay, so we have to, sometimes we have to transport some equipments from one point to another. Sometimes our instrument has to be transported, so such issues all should be considered. And also special site requirements, like power availability on site should be there. Sometimes visibility problem will be there when we are doing the surveying method. The surveying, one point will not be visible to take out the reading, so that we have to cut down something. So such problems will be there, so that should be considered. And factors related to network design and observation scheduling, such as receiver, deployment pattern, etc. All these factors should be considered in our logistical consideration. It will come under logistical consideration. And fifth is reconnaissance. I hope this word is familiar with you. In surveying you have learned. Reconnaissance means what? Before starting a particular survey, we will go to that particular site and we will observe what are the soil condition, what are the terrain, what is the type of terrain. Like that, we will collect the details by visually, just visually, not using any instrument but just visually. So that is the process called reconnaissance. This is an important step in any surveying method. So this list is showing in survey in reconnaissance. For GPS surveying, all these parameters should be considered, like whether satellite is available. Okay, satellite availability, like which all satellite will be selected. Satellite visibility. Okay, whether on site, whether any obstructions are there, that will be checked. Clearly identifying the ground mark over which the GPS antenna is to be set up, that point will be marked in the survey reconnaissance process. Then station access, critical for minimizing non-productive travel times and unscheduled delays in reaching site. So if you are selecting a particular area and if you are selecting a particular point as your station, and if it is difficult to access that point, it will cause many problems. As mentioned here, it will delay your travel, it will prolong your travel time, it will affect your scheduled days. Like that, many problems will be there. So station access has to be checked. Then site conditions has to be checked, whether it is open area. Okay, whether open area exists around the station, whether a control station or established benchmark is there. I hope benchmark, you know what is benchmark. What is benchmark? Benchmark is a point of non-elevation. Okay, so that will help us to locate other points. and whether proper lighting facilities are there for, if you are doing the surveying in night, you have to get proper lighting. So whether light facilities are there, such factors has to be considered in the reconnaissance survey. And last factor is required resources, like some resources must be that must be required at time of preparation for GPS surveys are listed below. As mentioned earlier, how many personnel, receivers with accessories, transportation facilities, images or maps whether it is available or not, satellite and weather forecast information, accommodation, availability of equipments. So all these factors have to be noted, okay, in the planning process. In the planning phase itself, all these 6 factors we saw. So all these 6 factors to be considered, and you have to do the planning phase. Okay, so I hope it is clear for you. Just go through these slides, and if any doubts are there, I will clear in the next live session. Okay, so thank you for listening. Bye.